Okay, so I've been looking up different means of dealing with the kids and their parents. I've seen claims that they are vampires. In that regard, I've tried some of the classic weaknesses associated with vampires. However, the garlic and religious symbols I put around them don't seem to be affecting them in the slightest. It may have something to do with the fact that I myself am not a religious person, or maybe they aren't vampires at all. Granted, I haven't tried the oak stake through the heart method, but I doubt I'll get the opportunity to. The other theories I've heard are them being aliens or demons of some kind. If the former was true, I wasn't really sure what I could do to get rid of them, other than cooperate and hope for the best. If they were the latter, some kind of ritual might do the trick. The issue is that I don't know which one to use. There are lots of different rituals as it turns out, and I doubt I'd be let off easily if I tried one and it didn't work. I'm not sure what we stole from the grave is being used for. I tried going down into the basement to check. When I tried opening the door, however, I found I was unable to. No doubt, this is the kids' doing. Speaking of whom, they made me do something else tonight that I am not exactly proud of. This particular task required me to go to the store. Although that sounds like an easy thing to do, it ended up being far more complicated than I thought it would be. The children, being distrustful, decided to accompany me to make sure I wouldn't get up to any funny business. We ran into a problem. The store closed earlier than I expected. Hey, what's the big idea? I thought this place closes at 7. It's only 6. I said to who I assumed was the manager or assistant manager locking the door. Sorry, but we're closing early due to being short-staffed, he replied. I didn't know. Can you let me in? I only have a few things to get. It won't take long. I would, but it isn't up to me. Again, sorry. We open back up at 6. He walked by me, and I was left feeling defeated. I went back to my car to let the kids know of the bad news. Needless to say, they didn't take it well. Our parents gave us specific tasks to do for each day. If we don't fulfill them, they will be disappointed, Abraham said. Well, I don't see how that's my problem. If you wanted me to go to the store, you should have said something earlier.
The store being closed is not a factor of whether or not our task gets done,
Louise said. What do you want me to do, break in? The kids only stare in response. It can't wait until tomorrow, and they shook their heads. And if I don't, I'll end up like the groundskeeper. They nodded, and I sighed. I thought that I would have to break in. Had that been the case, the store's alarm would have been a pain to deal with. Luckily for me, I noticed the employee before heading back towards the store. He must have forgotten something because he unlocked the back door. Also, lucky for me, he left it ajar. I slipped inside and began searching for what I needed to get. The things I needed were some chalk, black or red candles, sea salt, and a sketchbook. While I could find these items without much trouble, the issue was avoiding detection. The employee I talked with seemed to be frantically looking for something. This was a huge pain in the butt, because he was searching in the area of the store where the stuff I needed was. I did my best to go unnoticed. However, that was easier said than done. I managed to get everything but sea salt. I went to the aisle that had it. I found it on the top shelf. As I grabbed it, though, I noticed something else between the bottles. I grabbed and pulled it off the shelf to find that it was a cell phone. I put 2 and 2 together and figured that it was probably what the employee was looking for. Speaking of whom, he found me holding it, which led to a misunderstanding. "What the hell are you doing in here?" he asked. "I already told you we're closed. And is that my phone?" "Yes. You were looking for it, right?" He nodded. "And seeing as how I found it, could you do me a favor and ring up this stuff for me?" I handed his phone back to him, and he looked at me and let out a sigh. "Look, I really appreciate you finding my phone for me, but if I ring up any new items, I could be fired. Besides, you aren't even supposed to be in here anyway." "I see. Well, only one thing I can do then. I abruptly turned and began running towards the exit with the stuff I got. I heard the man curse loudly and run after me. I was able to make it out the back door. I thought I was going to reach my car and get away scot-free. That wasn't until I got slide tackled by a police officer. "You've got some nerve," he told me. "Wait, you don't understand," I replied, trying to reason with him. "Oh, I understand. You thought you could steal from a store that's already running low on shit people need. We already have enough trouble with selfish a-holes buying up hundreds of rolls of toilet paper in bulk. We don't need shoplifters on top of that." I felt him put handcuffs on me. "Oh, come on. I didn't even take anything important. I would have paid for it." I gritted in pain and how tight the cuffs were. "Sure you were. Also, chalk a sketchbook? Most people would only steal what they need in times like this. I guess you're a dumbass on top of being a thief." "I already told you I'm not a thief, or at least I wasn't trying to be." The cop ignored my words. He planted a foot firmly on my back as he picked up the stuff I grabbed. Then he proceeded to hand it back to the employee. That was when I noticed something that made me feel the color drain from my face. The back doors of my car were open, and the children were no longer in it. "Guys, I'm telling you, I need those things," I shouted. The cop cut me off and was telling me to shut up until the employee pointed something out to him. It was that the kids were standing before them. Their features were obscured by shadows. "The hell are a couple of kids doing out here so late?" the cop muttered. "They're with me," I told him. "I'm their babysitter." "Is that right?" he chuckled. "Hey kids, sorry you have to see this." He then asked the employee to watch the kids while he put me in his patrol car. He yanked me to my feet and started walking me towards it. He paused, then he realized the kids were coming towards us. His and the employee's eyes grew wide when they were close enough for them to make out their features. "May we please have the basket?" Abraham asked. The employee attempted fleeing. When he did, Louise began spewing the dark, inky substance from her mouth. The cop, presumably on autopilot, took out his gun and tried to fire at her. She didn't give him the chance to. The inky substance shot towards him fast enough to surpass any bullet. I thought she was going to do what they did to the groundskeeper last night. Instead, I saw that his eyes had become black like theirs. A stream of that inky stuff was connecting him and her like strings to a marionette. She made him raise his gun and shoot at the employee. The shots hit him in the back dead on. Then she made the cop put the gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger. I can tell you firsthand that the sight and smell of a man's thoughts being splattered on a parking lot is not healthy for one's mental state. Shocking, I know. I threw up on the spot. Abraham went over to the deceased employee and grabbed the basket from him. Then he and Louise went back to my car. To make matters worse, in addition to what I had just seen, it was in sight of some security cameras. Trying to explain what happened to anyone who saw that footage would have no doubt caused me more trouble. Plus, some of the cameras probably caught me stealing from the store. Now that I think about it, I went back inside the store and located its security room and erased the footage after Abraham used the keys on the cop's belt to unlock the cuffs I had on. I stole some cleaning supplies, including drain cleaner after that. I put the cop and the employees' bodies in my trunk and then cleaned their remains off the parking lot. When we got home, I used the drain cleaner to dispose of their bodies. The kids once again took the things we got down to the basement. In spite of what I've witnessed during these last couple of days, I can't help but feel a growing curiosity towards what the children's tasks are leading up to. Hopefully, I won't have too many other corpses to dispose of in the process. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Perhaps click the bell for notifications, and remember, hell is empty, and the devils are here.